celebrate with us, the ABC.
Saturday night, March 1st on ABC TV and ABC iView.
It's 10:10 right now. Hey, how much do you know about the history of your area and how your own heritage perhaps intertwines with the place where you live? Rainbow Beach local Elisa Seul has been researching the history of Italians in the Gympie region. And you might be surprised at just how deep those roots lie and the contribution that Italians have made to the local community. Elisa told me what it is that she's been investigating.
Yes, I've been looking for other people that move their hands as much as I do. I was hoping that other people could do the same with the body language. And surprisingly, I actually found more than what I was expecting.
So where have you been digging for this information?
So it all started within the Gympie region, and I've been lucky enough to be a successful recipient of a RADF funding, so Regional Arts Funding Development. They thought that my proposal of digging up some stories and histories of Italian heritage in the region could be helpful also for other communities. So just, to plant a seed. So that gave me the right support. And then at the same time, I'm also looking for the people that migrated from Italy to Brisbane and surroundings in the 50s. So I'm moving two very interesting projects at the same time. They do intertwine a little bit, they meet each other, but the biggest surprises, I think, they've been here in the area, in the Gympie region.
What sort of stories are you finding? What are some of the stories that have surprised you?
Well, I was expecting to end up interviewing people of my generation, my age, and I know a few of them, so I already had some names in my list. I actually didn't end up interviewing those people, funny enough. I had to go back even till the 1884, exactly 100 years before I was born. I just disclosed how old I am. And yes, it was a surprise. So as I was worried that there wasn't enough people around to share their background, their cultural Italian background and roots, I opened to have people that could be eligible, or because they are Italians as me, still with a very fresh accent, so first generation of Australians, and maybe they had a grandparent or even residents that moved here because we've been having a new migration, Australian within the Australian states, with an Italian background. Oh, that opened a huge door. So I had Sylvia, she was the very first person that she got in touch with me from Tinken Bay, and she said to me, oh yeah, I've seen your article in the newspaper, and I do have, a nonno, as in granddad, and it wasn't just any average grandparent. He actually escaped from Italy in 1922 because he could say straight away, maybe this Benito Mussolini is not going to be a good guy here in Italy, and they chased him for that. So from there, I had to, freshen up again my history knowledge in Italy, and it just opened another synchronicity. We actually ended up, even with Sylvia, looking up, at what happened in the Gympie region during the Second World War. Everyone was busy, we know that. It was a huge conflict. But mostly, we had Italians here, just over 200 Italians, brought here as soldiers, prisoners. What? Yes. So, the Australian men were sent away. We had the Americans here. We still had the women, the kids, and, the other Australians that were living here. And the farms, the soil, the land needed to be still, cultivated. Not enough arms. So they thought, we still have some men in this country, and we're just keeping them in a tent, in a camp somewhere very isolated. Even in Brisbane, Gathorne, it's still a suburb nowadays. There was a camp where some of these soldiers, called enemies, were kept. So they sent them to work in the farm. Here I was thinking that with my work and holiday visa, it was all new when I had to do my farm work, the famous 88 days. They did a bit longer, so it wasn't just a new, fresh thing for my generation. And they ended up in the Gympie region, where I've been driving past for 12 years now. not having a clue that other Italians were there growing pineapple. That, by the way, shouldn't really go on pizza, but that's a whole different story.
That's more controversial than anything else you've said so far, Lisa. So how has this changed your perception of the community that you've been living in for, over a decade?
It definitely changed a lot, especially when I went looking for, the kids that were in those farms, even in the Mary Valley. They're not so young nowadays, but they still have memories, either because they were there when they had this so-called enemy in their own houses, or because their fathers and the people, they all told them about them. So they knew. And it was just such an opening, a little part of my brain open up to a whole different reality that we don't share. I had someone recently telling me, I just thought that everyone would eat spaghetti and macaroni and cheese. He said, guess what? It wasn't, the reality for the other kids of his age. So until he went to school, when he mixed up with other kids, he discovered that his mom was taught from these Italian prisoners how to cook the pasta.
So many stories that you're gathering and in the process of doing so as well. What's going to happen to them? What are you doing with this project?
I'm writing everything, and I will be disclosing the stories in different ways because it's 2025, so I'm still old school, so there will be a book of some sort. There will be a digital version. We're going to do some launch, in form of events through the libraries. I've had great support from the local historian from Gympie, who, by the way, is another person that has got Italian heritage. So yes, and even the response from people, it's like there's always been there someone waiting to be able to share their story. And I know that the country here, the modern Australia, was built to be very British. I always loved Lizzie. We share half of the name. That's fine. Nothing against that. And I don't want to open that kind of conflict. But with what happened, still, we've got many cultures that came here. And they were told they were aliens by the law. And they were called things. They were called names. I still get called names. But, it doesn't hurt me in the same way. It's probably hurt those people back in the 40s and in the 50s. So that's really changed, and I'm glad to see that in people's perception here.
Elisa Seul there, an incredible local Rainbow Beach woman who is working on, as you heard there, finding some incredible history of the region.